Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Jefferson Highway Show. This historic highway was formed in 1915 by the Jefferson Highway Association. It runs from Winnipeg, Canada, all the way to New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's go! Welcome, everyone. It is time for another Jefferson Highway podcast episode. Today, we are going to Greenville, Texas. And if you were at the conference up at McAlester, Oklahoma in June this year, you may have met Stacy Foley, who's a tourism manager for Greenville, Texas. And she is here on the podcast along with Micah McBay, who is the community engagement director. So when you want to party, you get to call Micah. And if you want to go for a twirl around town, you call Stacy. But first, welcome, Stacy. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for having us today. I'm doing good.
Good to have you on the show. Good to see you again. And nice to meet you, Micah. Welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
But we're excited about this. So Greenville is, we're coming. We're coming to see Greenville because Stacy's like, you've got to come. We're like, okay, we will. We'll be there. So you've already sold us on coming out there. But it's kind of really cool because you're close to other cities that are part of the route. Like Denison is not far, right, from you either?
And Bonham is a little bit closer on the route. And that's kind of between Oklahoma and us. And then going from us towards the Louisiana border, there's Sulphur Springs, Kilgore, maybe Gladewater. There's a few other.
Water, yes. We've been there. We've done a whole story on Gladewater. Johnny Cash wrote part of Walk the Line in Gladewater, Texas.
Really?
They have a little Opry over there, and Elvis Presley actually sang there at the Opry back in the day when he was a truck driver. It's Gladewater's got it's the antique capital of East Texas, I believe. There it is. But that's cool. I mean, because to me, all these little communities really make up something. Sulphur Springs, Kilgore, like you said, we have been through there. So, I always feel, I know the size of Texas is massive, right? We all know that. But I always feel what's so great about the Jefferson Highway is that it reminds us that, like, when you go to Louisiana, there is far more than New Orleans, though we want to still go to New Orleans. But the same thing for Texas. People automatically think Dallas. I think that the TV show helped you all with that. But there's so much more of Texas to experience, and that is communities like Greenville, which has a lot of art, right, Micah? That's one of the things, is the arts.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of public art here, which is really cool. And then, of course, we have the Greenville Municipal Auditorium. There's the Texan Theater, which is downtown. We've got performing arts groups here in town, and those are growing as we grow. So there's a lot happening here in the arts community.
That's exciting. I think that's what just is really good to be able to see anything that's, especially performing arts, right? That's always beautiful to experience. Yeah, Texas does good at keeping the arts alive, I think. You guys know how to do that. But Stacy, the Jefferson Highway, does it go through the main street? Where exactly because that's the thing, putting it together, because there's so many offshoots of this highway. Basically, we're talking about people going on the whole route, which goes from Winnipeg to New Orleans. And there's so many little deviations depending on the year. So it's a corridor. So I say just explore it all, right?
Absolutely. So it basically, what makes it odd in our town is that we have some one-way streets. So basically it goes around the courthouse. You come in from one direction if you're coming in from Wolf City and Bonham, and then you would go past the courthouse and then go around the farmer's market and then back out to the interstate to head on to Sulphur Springs. If you're coming in from Sulphur Springs, you're going to hit the other side of the courthouse square and go another way, just because the two roads go opposite directions as one way. But it's all kind of right there together. It's not just one street, but it's basically the same area.
And then you have one of those historic courthouses that Texas has, amazing courthouses.
I guess it is historic. I don't know a lot of details about it, but I know it's like our fourth courthouse for Hunt County. I think some fires happened years back. So this one has been here my whole lifetime. So been a while.
Don't date yourself like that. I'm just going to say. Yeah, no, I think that I love that it goes around the courthouse. Like you were saying, these historic towns, Texas knows how to do courthouses and put historic markers. Oh my gosh. I thought one time we were doing this one trail. I'm like, oh, look, there's a marker. Let's stop at all the markers. And then we never got to where we were supposed to get to because the markers are so cool to experience. But the Jefferson Highway coming through, I think this is an exciting thing for smaller communities to have this happen and this revitalization and of this a rebirth of this highway, because I think it gets other communities to work together, and then for people it gives them this other reason to come out, because you're not that far from Dallas, right? So people from Dallas, this is like a day trip, or you can make a weekend visit,
Right.
right?
And we have a lot of cool things just right there on our main street on Lee Street, which you'll cross it
Mhm.
or hit part of it, whichever direction you come. But there's a lot of cool things just to park the car and spend the afternoon. We have a downtown walking art tour, and we're working on redoing the downtown walking historical tour. We lost some signs to tornadoes, so we've got to recreate some things and rebuild that a little bit. But just it's would be a great place to park the car, and there's places to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. You have wine or craft beers or all
Yes,
different.
you have a winery. Wait,
Yes,
this is
we do.
important.
It is important.
That's important. That's important. A walking, so you have a walking art tour and a history tour. So
Yes.
this is all self-guided that people can do. Oh, that's very cool. Do you have any museums, or is it mostly the walking tour that does it?
We do have a fantastic museum. It's the Audie Murphy American Cotton Museum.
That's right.
And so it covers kind of our local history when cotton was king and kind of gave Greenville its claim to fame. I think we broke records for 2 days in ginning cotton, and they never were broken after that. And the railroad coming through town really changed the dynamics of Greenville, and cotton production after that just went crazy because they had a means to distribute the cotton. And then the other part of the museum is kind of in honor of our military, and especially highlighting Audie Murphy, who he wasn't born in Greenville, but he roamed all around this area in Celeste and Farmersville and Greenville, and he is World War II's most highly decorated soldier. And so we love having a little bit of claim to fame with him. And they have a wonderful museum. I've actually been overseas and at Colmar, where one of the battles took place, that Audie Murphy earned a medal there and the story there, and went to
Wow.
several of their museums. And then I come back and get to see our museum, and it's like, wow, our museum is so much better. And so it has a lot of interactive things at the museum that you can push a button and hear the descriptions and store like a little storyline between a soldier at war and his wife back at home, and
Oh, wow.
just some really neat things. And they've added some outdoor walking, historical path things to read about. They
Oh,
also have some amazing events. They have at Easter, they have adult only after dark Easter egg hunt, which is a hoot to watch all these adults revert back to
does
kids.
the winery get involved with this?
No, they do their own thing. They have,
Okay.
Friday nights, they have, bingo, music bingo, and they have wine barrel tours. They have several
Oh,
different
wow.
things at the winery as well. But, like they did a live action Clue at the museum where the characters come alive and there's
Cool.
been a murder and you have to solve it. And so they do a lot of outside of the museum things that are a lot of fun too.
Well, too, Audie Murphy was also an actor, right? So
Yes.
that's something to people may remember. And I want to say that in the episode notes, no matter how you're listening or watching this, I've got a link to an interview we did a couple years back when we were doing military history on the highways. We did cover, we had a representative from the museum come on the show. So everyone can listen to that for more information about Audie Murphy, which is fascinating. He really was one of those just fascinating men. But speaking of acting, can you tell us a little bit more of the theater side, Mike? Actual local actors that are performing at the Texas Theater? What's happening with that?
Yeah. So the city sponsors one of our community theater groups. There's two here in town. So one is called Greenville Family Theater, and they do children's productions. And they usually do one show a year in the summer, and that's where the kids go in and they work on the show for several months. And it's a little bit more educational in nature, and then they come in to the Greenville Municipal Auditorium in the summer and put on a show. So they've done that for the last 10 years, I think.
Hmm.
The city and the GMA sponsor a group called Greenville Theater Works. And so that is a community theater, and it's aimed more at adult actors. So, yeah, most of these actors, not all, but a lot of the actors have no like professional training, or they didn't go to school for it. They just love doing it. But we do have a few actors that went to school, and even a couple who did some professional work, but for the most part, it's all just local people. That includes the people who build the sets and get the costumes and all those sorts of things. So, very much a true community theater. So that's been in existence since 2019, and then we kind of flipped it over to a nonprofit community theater style in 2022.
Okay. Wow.
Do they do
Positive.
3 shows a year at the GMA, 2 plays and a musical, and then we do a Shakespeare in the Park every year. That's an outdoor event, and then there's 2 fundraiser shows. Yeah.
Now, the auditorium itself, do you bring in other like musicians and theater companies for
Yeah,
that?
the GMA was built in 1939, so that's the Greenville Municipal Auditorium, and it was built by the city of Greenville, and it's owned and operated by the city of Greenville, still is. That's part of what I do for the city is to manage the auditorium. And
Cool.
you mentioned Elvis a while ago. Elvis played there in 1955.
Wow.
Everybody, we have a big poster of him downstairs from from him coming there. But I mean, over the years, a lot of really famous people have played at the GMA. I mean, everybody from Count Basie and Dave Brubeck and Duke Ellington to
My
George Strait and people like that before George Jones, Loretta Lynn, all some before they were famous, some after they were famous. And locally, Bart Millard and Mercy Me, who are from Greenville, and that's a Christian group and played there several times. And of course, have become very well known over the last several years from a lot of their songs that particularly I Can Only Imagine, which Bart wrote. So, yeah, there's a lot of art here in the city. And then I'd mentioned the Texan Theater before. That's not owned by the city. That's owned by a local citizen. And she opened that in 2018. And they've had a lot of cool shows come through there as well. It's a much smaller facility. It is on Lee Street, so it is downtown. And she renovated an old, what was an opera house at one time, 100 years ago. And then it was a movie theater. And she completely renovated that thing. And it's a really beautiful space, but it only seats about 100 or 120. The GMA seats 1,400, larger venue. And yeah, we have multiple shows that come through every year. We've been closed for renovations. We're getting a bunch of tech upgrades done, but we reopen the end of September. And then our first show back on October 2nd is Marty Stewart. So yeah, we've got Marty Stewart and John Conley and Gene Watson and Crystal Gale all coming in October. So
what?
yeah.
Okay. Well, go big or go home, right? But you're already home.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's pretty impressive. So then on top of that, you've got the public art, like we were talking about the art walk as well. And then I was interested in the hearts of Hunt County. So is this something that you look for hearts in all the murals?
Yeah, that was something. So I was in the Hunt County leadership class of 2023, and that's something that the Chamber of Commerce does every other year. And it's local citizens who want to come and learn more about the county and get involved. And each class does some sort of a service project. And so my class, they decided they wanted to do statues around town, some sort of statue. And they decided we decided that it would be a heart. And so there are 8 or 10 right now hearts around the city, and they're pretty large. They're like 4 feet tall and they're like almost 4 feet wide. So it's a big, large, and it's a heart. It's a big, big heart. And so each one is decorated uniquely to represent whatever business or organization that it's affiliated with. So like the one in front of the GMA, it says GMA on it. And on the other side of it, it's got like newspaper clippings and of people who played there. So, Elvis is featured prominently.
Bring Elvis.
And then like the one at the museum was hand painted by one of the volunteers that she and her husband do a lot of work there at the museum. And it's really beautiful. And she's got the Audie Murphy is on there with the Purple Heart and then there's a scene of blue bonnets on the other side, I believe.
I think it's cotton.
Cotton. Okay. Cotton on that
Yes.
side. It's the one at the water department that has the blue bonnets, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's several like that. There are local business electric utility and water company, which is owned and operated by the city of Greenville as well. We're one of the few municipally owned electric water companies in the state.
In the country.
Since, yeah, we call it JUICE. It's Greenville Electric Utility Service. So GEUS, but everybody around here just calls it JUICE. So they've been in existence for over 100 years here in the in the city, but they have a part out front. They use theirs a little more like a billboard. So like on one side it says juice, and then they change out the other side with like whatever they've got going, get new cable service or get our internet or whatever. So it's kind of a mixed bag on the hearts, but most of them are artistic in some.
That's fun though. This is exciting to hear about. It's definitely different. Stacy, I was going to say, what about food? Because that's another huge deal when it comes to going to a destination. And of course, you got to have steak, right? I mean,
We just recently got Texas Roadhouse, but we do have along the interstate, which doesn't follow the Jefferson Highway path, but obviously you can get off the Jefferson Highway path and explore beyond just those streets that pass through. But along the interstate, we have a lot of the typical, big, well-known restaurants. And then, of course, locally, we all have our little favorites of, like Glenda's Cafe and Terry's Hamburgers and CB's Hamburgers. CB's has been here, oh, wow, probably 70 years, a little burger place. We have, again, downtown, there's several really great eating places, a lot of just nice. We have Italian, we have Mexican, we just have some of all of it. So,
you're not a star.
all of them because I love to eat.
I do too. You've got a winery, you've got good food, and I love, going to mom and pop run restaurants, or just small businesses and supporting them too, because it's always something unique that you're going to eat. They're going to be known in good burgers. That's important,
Absolutely.
Steak, good burgers, good Mexican food when you're in Texas, obviously. You're going to get some good.
We just recently had a restaurant open downtown on Lee Street, and the person who has it is a 5-star Michelin chef. So it's kind of home cooking, but it's kicked up a notch. So
yeah, a few notches.
A few notches, yes.
But home cooking, yeah, you can't beat that. You know what I mean? So yeah, when the Michelin star, you start going, okay, you're going to get that little square of food. It's really pretty, but that this is home cooking, so this is good.
Yeah, you get a 2-inch thick waffle with chicken on it and
really
shrimp and grits and all kinds of good stuff.
Okay, maybe we have to start heading back soon. Get back to Texas. Yeah. This good food. Okay, so you got food, you got wine. What are the lodging opportunities for travelers coming through?
There's plenty of lodging, plenty of different great hotels and comfort suites.
The Best Western, a Hampton Inn, and a Holiday Inn as well.
Yes.
So those are the kind of the main brand name hotels.
Yes.
Okay, and then do you have bed and breakfast or that kind of thing?
We do on Lee Street. Lofts on Lee is just over it's Prairie Coffee. It's a little coffee house that is a hot spot to be in town. Everybody wants to have meetings at Prairie Coffee. But above the coffee shop are some lofts, some Airbnb lofts, and they are gorgeous. They renovated them and they're very chic, very well decorated. And one of the coolest things that I love about it is it has like a kitchenette in each one. But I was noticing when I was in there, well, like there's no stove. Well, it's hidden. It's a drawer and you pull it out and then there are your burners. So it closes up very neatly, but then you can cook there and eat, but just beautifully decorated and very well done. We also nearby have a treehouse. It's just down the highway a bit, and you can stay in these really cool tree houses. They have ramps going up to them and little passages between the different
fun.
parts of the tree to get to the different sections of it. So that's kind of fun and unique. And then, you can just search online and there are just typical Airbnb places to stay as well.
A little bit of everything then. I think the treehouse, though, that sounds really nice and unique for sure. I was going to say, too, what about for those who want to do anything outdoors? Do you have parks and trails or anything like that? Or is it mostly kind of a city atmosphere?
Well, there are plenty of parks all over town, with playground equipment and splash pads, and some have walking trails. And our sports park, and Micah may know more about this. I haven't gotten to go out there recently, and he's in a lot of the meetings where he hears about it, but they are building a sports center. And so we're excited because there's potential for tournaments and all different kinds of things. There's going to be indoor swimming pool, indoor walking track, pickleball, and we do have some pickleball courts at some of the other parks because I know that's a big thing right now. People like to play pickleball.
They love their pickleball. When you play it once and you're hooked for life.
That's what, see, I haven't played it yet. So I've bought the paddles, but I haven't played it yet. But so that, the sports park is a great place. We had our Eclipse event there, and just people could just spread out, and they do a lot of sports stuff there too. They have ball fields and all, but it's just a great place. You see a lot of families out there just hanging out. They have Friday nights. A lot of times they have free movies just there in the park, and they have food trucks, and so it's there's a lot of different places to get outside,
Yeah.
and even nearby in Commerce, they have the planetarium, they have the children's museum. So if you're staying in Greenville, you can just take a quick little trip and check out some other really cool things nearby.
Oh, that's cool to know because that's the thing. It sounds very family friendly, which is nice, for families, especially road trippers. I mean, come on, that's how we all started, right? Put all the kids in the car. I just think we need more station wagons. That's my only thing. I
Me
want the
too.
return. I want the return of the station wagon. And somehow Chevy Chase needs to do the Jefferson Highway. I don't know what it is, but I just keep thinking he needs to go on the Jefferson Highway. I don't.
That would be
It's a,
awesome.
it would be fun to film him do that, right? But yeah, it sounds family friendly, which is nice for travelers. And would you say that it's budget friendly for families coming to
Oh,
Greenville?
yes. I think definitely compared to the big cities, everything here is very reasonable. And we have a lot of free events. We have throughout the summer we had 6 free concerts down at the farmers market. And I mean little kids are out there dancing over to the side, and parents are sitting out there in lawn chairs. And we have a big concert coming up on September 20th, our Lee Street Jamboree, and it's in conjunction with the big bicycle ride. The local Rotary sponsors the Cotton Patch Challenge, and they have from like 6 miles to I think 100-mile runs that you can do that'll be going on that morning. And then that afternoon and evening, we'll have the main street blocked off, and we'll have vendors, and starting out with the local high school band, the percussion performing, and then moving up with some other more local performers. And then South Hall will be our headliner for the evening. And
Oh,
Landon's Winery will be out there, and then Ash and Rose will have craft beers and stuff down at the event. So,
so you have a brewery too?
They
it's a
don't brew on site.
Okay.
It's more of a pub.
Oh,
yes,
that's okay. Pubs
Yeah.
are allowed. Pubs
Yeah.
are allowed. They are definitely allowed. Well, that's fun. So this is really all these different events. Are there any other ones? I saw one. Was it like vintage fishing gear or something that comes to town? What? I've
yes.
never heard of an event like this. I mean, it seems like you have some fun events. I mean, that's a new one for that I've seen. Like that's new. Like
We
it's
just had that in August, and I did not realize until I started communicating with the young man who kind of hosts the show. He's been doing a show in Temple for 20 years, and so this is his second one in Greenville. But his dad last year sold a lure for $8,600. Like, they're very collectible. I did not know that, but they auctioned off some at this year's event, and like one lure went for $900. I mean, they people collect them, and they're most are from the 1930s and the 40s during World War II. And then people that just like to fish love to come to the event and check it out, and it's definitely growing, and it's family friendly. He was able to give out over 700 lures and 14 rod and reel sets to children and to the local bass,
oh, it's cool.
uh, like the high school bass teams. So it's
Okay.
very geared towards getting young people interested in fishing and participating in the
Get
collecting
outside.
of lures and tackle. And
That's cool. I mean, that's a whole different event for sure. I had no idea. So, Micah, what are some of the festivals that you like that have come to town?
Yeah. So the Festival of the Arts, I think that's a really cool. I mean, obviously with the artistic things that are going on, that's a really cool thing that we have that was started a few years back. This next year will be our fifth one, I think. Is that right? Fifth.
yes.
And that really celebrates the arts here. We have arts vendors that come in from all over, and then our local library does a lot of events, and
Mm.
so does our parks department. And so some of the ones that they do that are really cool. Of course, every year on the 4th of July, the parks department sponsors what they call Bottle Rocket Bash, and there's a huge fireworks show. And I know most communities have something similar to that, but it's a really cool event. They always bring in a nice big fireworks show and live music, and all that happens down at the sports park. Like Stacy was talking about a while ago, we've got this big nice sports park, and that's where they're putting that rec center that she was talking about that is gonna really expand what we can do in the sporting side of things from the Parks and Rec side. And then the library does a couple of really cool events annually. That last year they just started doing one they call Fantasy Fair, and so it's like a Renaissance fair that they do here with local people. They brought in a blacksmith and they brought in other performers that perform like in Renaissance festivals and those sorts of things, which was really cool. And then they do an event called Author Fest where they bring in local authors and regional authors, and they set up and you can go through and look at their books and talk to them and get your book signed. And then they do another event here that they call LitCon, which is sort of a Comic Con, but focused more on the literary side of that. You know that graphic novels and comic books are literature; they are legitimate reading. So those are some of the things that we do every year that aren't just inside of the department that I'm with, but that the city does as a whole. Of course, we have a Hunt County Fair and we have other groups in town like the Longhorn Arena that brings in events. They do a lot more like animal events because they're focused on equine events and dog shows,
Yeah.
and they have pig shows and all the stuff that everybody that's in that world loves, all those sorts of things. And that's a privately owned business here in town, but still they bring in a lot of events here in the city. So, it's not just what the city does. There are those other partners as well, like the museum that Stacy mentioned, or, the folks up in Commerce that she mentioned. So there's a lot to do inside of our bubble here, especially for a traveler. You could come in here and spend the weekend and really enjoy a whole weekend of activities here.
That sounds awesome.
So
Awesome.
there are some things coming up this fall. Katy Tree Farm has, like, from September through about mid-November, their tree farm is just totally decorated in pumpkins and fall, and they have a concession stand. They have typically a fire going, and a lot of people have never made a s'more. And so they can roast marshmallows and they teach them how to make a s'more. They have a petting zoo, a little train ride, and then they shut down for a short time and then move away from all the fall decorations and then go into Christmas. And they sell trees at the tree farm. You can ride a hayride out and choose your own tree, or they've already got some pre-cut. And again, they have playgrounds and they have mazes, and they have both for fall and Christmas these gorgeous backdrops and scenery sets. A lot of people go get their family pictures made there every year because there's such beautiful backdrops for, with either pumpkins or Christmas looking. And then at night they have the trail of lights that you can walk through. And so a lot of people just go out there in the fall or in Christmas season and just hang out. Their kids play outside, and they just have a good time. And they're expanding and hoping to add some things. We also, on Park Street, which is a historic street in town, 2 weekends in December, they have horse-drawn carriage rides, and the carriages are lit up, and most everybody on Park Street decorates their homes beautifully. And so they'll have a little concession stand, a little bit of music where you get on or off the buggy. And that's always a fun thing. And then, of course, we have a Christmas parade. Most towns have a Christmas parade, but we'll also be having a Christmas market down at the farmer's market
Oh, cool.
in December. And a lot of vendors come in. And then, of course, every weekend from April to, is it November, Micah? The farmer's market is open, and they have a lot of great vendors, fruits, vegetables, meat, handmade items, honey, all kinds of really cool things down at the farmer's market. And that seems to be a hot spot on Saturdays.
That's fun. That's
Locally.
always fun. I think, going to a farmer's market as a traveler, especially if you're going to go get like stay in the loft, get some of the local produce and cook with something that comes locally. So this Greenville sounds like a very family friendly, fun place to go hang out and spend a weekend, be part of the Jefferson Highway, and over the holiday season, I mean, what could be better? It's, shopping that way is more fun to me, is to go on
Yes.
a vacation or go for a weekend escape and go and do something unique and get something that doesn't come from the almighty what that gets delivered at the door and you hope no one steals, right? So just
A word.
shop locally when you're traveling and get something that somebody's never seen before. You know what I mean? And support small business. So I think that's the other side of this whole Jefferson Highway project, is to really showcase places with character, that has a personal connection. As we get so technology has taken over our lives, right? It's really
Yes.
nice to travel and actually have a conversation with a person, not a chat bot. So, I know you're
Yes.
going to have fun doing that in Greenville, everyone. We can't wait to visit. We'll see you in October. Come and visit Greenville and report back, and definitely do some stories and let everybody know what we experienced. And we can't wait to hear more from you over the years. You'll see Stacy and Mike on the show, Big Blend Radio again, and as we build this whole thing with the Jefferson Highway. I encourage people to go to jeffersonhighwaytravelguide.com. On there, you'll see the beginning of our site, which is also the home of the upcoming digital travel guide / magazine, because there's just so much going on. There's no way we could just do one guide and go, all right, there's so many states. I mean, it goes from Winnipeg to New Orleans, everyone. So here's part of the Texas portion of the highway. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been super fun having you on the show and giving us an insight as to what's in the area. And don't forget, everyone, travelgreenvilletx.com is the website, also linked in the episode notes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on the Big Blend Radio Jefferson Highway Show. The show airs every fourth Thursday, and we encourage you to go to jeffersonhighway.org to learn more about the Jefferson Highway Association or even become a member. You can also dig into the history of the highway and share travel notes with friends at the Jefferson Highway Association Facebook group. Follow our shows at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels!